from Spain, we have Soy Mayor No Idiota, represented by Carlos San Juan de la Orden, who launched an online petition calling for better access to banking services for all, including elderly people. I would like to invite Mr. San Juan de la Orden, creator of Soy Mayor No Idiota and the 2022 Spanish winner of the European Citizens Prize, to deliver a speech. You have the floor.
Buenas tardes, señora vicepresidenta.
Good afternoon, Vice President, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am receiving unimaginable honours, the honour of receiving the European Citizens Prize and the honour that in Spain there are people with much greater merit, such as Silvia Moroder, who is president of the ANARA Foundation, which provides the Children's Helpline. Young people who are suffering abuse. The honour to be with all the prize winners from the other countries of the Union, who are a clear example of the role to be played by civil society. And of course, the privilege of being able to address you here from this platform at the nerve centre of the European Union. So it seems to me that I must begin by thanking all those who made it possible for me to have the great honour of being here this afternoon with you. First, I'd like to thank the Spanish MEPs who nominated me, Maite Pagata, who has been a role model for me and for many Spaniards for her bravery, risking her life literally for some essential values of democracy in a very recent period of Spanish history, which was very difficult and where we suffered a lot. Domènech Ruiz de Vesa, who, when I knew him, infused in me empathy and humanism, and especially empathy with the cause that I am now defending. Don Esteban González Pons, also an eminent Spanish politician, and all the members of the jury and its president, of course, who awarded me this prize. To Change.org and Maria Valdemoro voted for me, and the 648,000 people who supported my petition on the online in Spain and around Europe, and even in America. Julia Borge, a member of the European Parliament for Madrid, whose support has been a great help for me in being here today. My wife, Maria Jose, for her unshakable support from the outset in everything I do. For my sister, Marisa, and my brother-in-law, Angel, who have supported me and accompanied me. For the interpreters, for the efforts they will be making to convey to you the feelings that I'm feeling at this time. I'm come to talk to you about the weakest, the most vulnerable Spaniards who are at the centre of my campaign, who are the motive for my campaign. Older people who in the COVID pandemic died in great numbers, far from their loved ones. And when we recovered from that suffering, we were visited upon by a digitalization pandemic, which was badly planned and rushed, very complicated, and which excludes us, older people, and which is rigid in a dictatorial way. So it's like having all to wear the same clothes in the same size, or to be given the same medicine in the same dose. And we're calling it a pandemic because its repercussions show that there are millions of older people who are affected by this ailment of digitalization, badly done. And what do I attribute this situation to? I believe that older people, at least in Spain, are virtually invisible. We are surrounded by a society which has this narcissistic, obsessive cult of youth, as if we were not all travelling on the train of life, as if there was an elixir of youth, and they associate age with debility, illness, inactivity, and worse, uselessness, irrelevance. We suffer ageism in all its forms. We call people old when they're 60, whereas today the biological age is more important. Anthropologists regard us as a new and active generation. Our life expectancy is increasing by 6 hours a day, it is estimated. Age is a subjective concept. I'm over 79 and I don't regard myself as old. I regard myself as an older person who is active until this train of life drops me off at the final station, which will be my destination. We need representativeness in governments. We don't want to continue hearing from governments that we are a burden on the economy with our pensions. We don't want to hear only from the health services that we are costing too much in medicines, that we're a burden on the economy in that regard. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching winter with an energy crisis, with prices for basic products, in Spain at least, which are hitting records, which are outpacing pension rises by a factor of 3, with record inflation rates and a threat of recession. And us older people are giving economics lessons every day of the week in making ends meet, and many of us are crossing the poverty line into social exclusion, plus the suffering, the pain of not being able, because of obstacles, because of a so-called progress, this digitalization, we can't access essential public services to collect pensions. We can't access health services, and we are threatened by this telemedicine, this remote medicine, which for me at least is very controversial. And the public administration, the Spanish Revenue Services has announced that it's not going to change its online approach, which is unfair and it plays down the effects of the digital divide. So I would ask you all to make an effort so that we older people be left, especially the weaker among us. Leave us as we are, as we were. let us remain in an analog bubble in which we can access at least our pensions, because many of us don't have internet or smartphones. Many people are living alone, not because they want to, and so there's no one to help them. So what I'm asking is, I don't come here as a victim. I don't want to be melodramatic about it, but what I'm talking about is ethics, social justice, human rights. What I'm talking about is compatible with any political ideology in the parliamentary spectrum. What I'm asking for is respect, which should be required of any democratic party. So I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, this evening in this European Parliament, that you support us, that you help us vis-a-vis Nadia Calvino, the Spanish Minister for the Economy, so that there be enacted as soon as possible the law for the financial ombudsman, especially to protect more vulnerable older people, people who can't complain of financial iniquities. So to sign up to those protocols, and so banking services are often subject to the vagaries of the economy. And this law, this bill, has already been through two important filters. It's been approved by the Council of Ministers, the Cabinet, and has gone through the period of amendments, and it only needs to be enacted by the Congress. But this has to happen before the elections year, which is a political year. And the government goes into a legislative hibernation. So if it doesn't happen soon, it won't happen ever. And if this isn't done, which I think would be a failure, a major failure of the campaign that I am driving, and I also believe a democratic failure of all of us. You think of the great projects that have come out of this Parliament, and with the authority that we've given you with our votes, I ask you to come up with a plan B, so that nobody, whoever they are, whatever their level of digital education, so that everybody can access their pension and their fundamental rights, without which they lose their dignity and they enter into social exclusion and humiliating poverty. We want a Europe which is also a country for old men, to take the title of Cormac McCarthy's novel. Let us ensure that we do not make true the title of the Isaac Asimov novel, The Empire of the Robots. And let's think of the line of a Nobel Prize winner who said that digitalization is a very good servant but a very bad boss. Let's ensure that digitalization is at our service, at the service of persons, rather than persons at the service of digitalization. And finally, I would ask, please, don't forget the older people. Don't forget us. Every day there's more of us, and we exist too. Heartfelt thanks to all of you.